Years after his death, the name King Von still sends goosebumps and shivers down the spines of the people of Chicago. King Von was known for being one of the coldest, scariest, and deadliest men to ever walk the streets. If you talk about his name wrongly or without respect, trust me, you could lose your life in no time. He earned a name for himself, and in doing so, he made a couple of like-minded personalities just like him. Keep watching till the end of this video to see what really happened to King Von's deadliest affiliates. Trust me, you don't want to miss this. T-Roy. Talk about some being short as hell. T-Roy was one of the most respected and feared hitters in O-Block. And guess what? He was just 5 feet 2 inches tall. He was a dangerous man and could end anyone's life in the blink of an eye. He was best friends with King Von, and their combo was unbreakable. James Johnson, aka T-Roy, grew up in Parkway Gardens, just like King Von and Big Mike. T-Roy belonged to the Wick Gang before the name was changed to O-Block, in honor of the fallen O.D. Perry. In 2012, T-Roy killed 16-year-old Dale Fisher of the STL gang in a drive-by shooting, the same gang responsible for killing O.D. Perry. At the time of the incident, King Von was still in prison, and when he got out, he was impressed with the stunt T-Roy had pulled and started to roll with him. What a deadly combo. Both were so fearless and ruthless. King Von's best friend at that time, Whitey, was killed in a shooting by a rival gang. The death of Whitey brought King Von and T-Roy closer. One of their first victims together was Modell. He was an innocent person who tried to protect his cousin from getting shot, and unfortunately was killed in the act of being brave. The case wasn't prosecuted though, because no one wanted to end up dead while testifying against King Von and T-Roy. T-Roy was the only comparable person to King Von when it came to carrying out hits. They had so many killings together that it was almost like they ran a cartel. When King Von was in prison with Big Mike for Stucky's murder, King Von needed a lot of money to settle with his lawyers. T-Roy was out in the streets trying to hustle money when he was killed by the Gyro City gang. King Von was still in prison at the time, and all he could do was cry. Sad, isn't it? He lost the only person you could say was his twin. Big Mike. King Von and Big Mike had a very strange relationship from the start. It was a strange relationship because Mike's younger brother, FBG Wooski, was in the rival gang, GD, Gangster Disciples. Big Mike and his brother lived in Parkway Gardens, popularly known in the streets as O-Block. They belonged to two different factions, as Big Mike was in the gang BD, Black Disciples, and his brother Wooski was in the gang GD. This never stopped Big Mike from looking out for his brother's back when they were much younger, but all that changed when Wooski and some of his other gang members killed Reezy, a member of the BD gang. Big Mike could no longer protect his little brother, and they drifted apart. Wooski also killed one of King Von's homies, Platoon. At this point, there was a full-blown war, with both gangs trying to get revenge. In trying to get Wooski, King Von killed his cousin, Modell. In the summer of 2014, Big Mike and King Von were hanging out at a house party when they ran into two members of a rival gang. King Von didn't think twice before picking up his gun and firing shots at the two gangsters. One of the gangsters died from his wounds, and the other survived. The cops rolled up and arrested both Mike and Von. While in prison, Big Mike agreed to testify against King Von and cooperate with the cops. At the last minute of the trial, Big Mike decided he wasn't going to snitch and rat out King Von. He must have been a loyal gangster, or he was probably just scared of getting killed. In 2017, both King Von and Big Mike were acquitted of the charge, but Mike was unfortunately sentenced to 28 years for aggravated battery with a firearm. At this point, the relationship between the two had deteriorated. While Mike was in prison, King Von was responsible for his brother getting shot in the head, but he survived the injuries. Lil Durk. Everyone knows him as Lil Durk. Durk Derek Banks has established himself as one of the stars in the rap industry. To an average fan, it would seem as if he has gone clean and has no ties attached to any gangs. But listening to his lyrics, he's definitely still a gangster. He is really famous for his rapping and gang affiliations. Lil Durk was like a mentor to King Von. After spending 3 years of his life in prison, King Von started looking outside of the box of just being a gangster. While in prison, he started to write rap lyrics after seeing one of his childhood friends, Lil Durk, succeed as a rapper. Durk was there to provide the necessary support King Von needed to begin his rap career. In 2018, Lil Durk signed King Von to his record label, Only the Family. Since Lil Durk had already been a prominent figure in the Chicago music scene for a while, King Von was able to gain traction with his music, selling out records and dropping albums. Although the rappers never joined as a duo, Lil Durk and King Von collaborated on multiple songs. The two didn't only work on music together. The Evil Twins, as they liked to call themselves, were involved with the shooting at the Varsity, a restaurant in Atlanta. They robbed Alexander Witherspoon just outside the restaurant and took $30,000 from him. The two rappers were charged with aggravated assault, attempted murder, and street gang activity. Both Durk and Von's lawyers claimed that they acted in self-defense, and eventually they were both released on bonds. But before the conclusion of the trial, King Von was killed. Lil Durk is one of the few affiliates of King Von who isn't dead and is also not in jail. He, however, kept King Von's name as a sacred name, which he rarely speaks about. Muap. When King Von got out of prison after the death of his best friend, T. Roy, he started rolling with Marcus Smart, aka Muap. Muap carried out a lot of killings for O-Block. At some point, Muap was seen as the next big thing in the old black line of huge rappers like Lil Durk, Chief Keef, and King Von. Things haven't really turned out the best for Muap lately. He has currently been arrested by the feds for the death of Carlton Weekly, popularly known in the streets as FBG Duck. FBG Duck was a member of the Gangster Disciples, with whom the Black Disciples went to war for years. King Von and FBG Duck had been beefing for so many years. Rumors even spread that it was King Von who placed a bounty on FBG Duck's head for $50,000 and later increased the price to $100,000. Before his death, FBG Duck had tried to make peace with King Von and other members of the O-Block. But unfortunately, the rapper was killed in broad daylight on August 4th, 2020, in the Gold Coast neighborhood of Chicago. King Von was so happy with the job that he bought everyone a new chain. The federal indictment places a low chance of escape for Muap and his co-defendants, because the feds never miss when it comes to prosecution. At least before King Von died, he had some guys who you could say were his ride or die, and wouldn't rat him out no matter what the situation was. If only he were alive to be with them as they ruled the streets of Chicago. That's the end of today's video, guys. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe for more content. Thanks.